Arturo, you called us here to Birdland. What's up?
She crazy, bro? Do you understand what's happening here? We have Carla Bley, we have Shipp, we have Terence Blanchard, we have all these crazy people who make unbelievable art for one purpose today only, to get us to vote. They're really serious about this message. I saw some of these tapes, and they're really serious about this stuff. My name is Arturo O'Farrell. I'm the founder and artistic director of the Afro-Latin Jazz Alliance, and we welcome you to an incredible evening to get out to vote. This is Notes for Votes, Writers and Musicians for a Sane Future.
Hello, everyone. I am Tracy Hyter-Suffern. I'm the executive director of the National Jazz Museum in Harlem. This is such a powerful moment in our history, such a powerful moment in time, and these performances are so powerful. It is my absolute delight to be here in this moment in time and to remind you, vote.
I'm Larry Blumenfeld. I'm here with two people I've collaborated with often. Arturo's right, everyone here is serious, but we're also full of joy and love and care and a sense of community. You're going to see beautiful rituals of performing music and sharing music. It's all about another beautiful ritual, vote. Notes for Votes.
So, we've got nothing to sell, nothing to buy. Just a word of exhortation. Please
We have
vote.
no merch?
We have no merch, no cups, no T-shirts, nothing. The only thing we want to do is get you to heed the message, which we're going to begin by a first-time ever collaboration between myself, the amazing, brilliant tap dancer Ayodele Casel, and the brilliant poet warrior woman Caridad De La Luz, also known as La Bruja.
Imagine we didn't have a platform to do all of this. Gentrification. You see, you cannot break down that which you do not have a word for. So gentrification cannot be understood without first knowing what is colonization. Or better yet, feudalization. Some of higher privilege or of lower consciousness may confuse this for revitalization or beautification. But this ideation does not take into consideration the institutionalization of systemic displacement. The devaluation of countless generations who created beautiful civilizations. Cohabitation, balanced with the land's agriculture and vegetation. Now it's communities of low-income families classified by their wealth disparity, called cases of charity, with ill mental health, while opportunity is held hostage by the cards they've been dealt. Vulturistic profits made from what else? Discrimination, demonization, colorization, physical exploitation. All these classifications to mask what is at play, holding true genius at bay by shutting down schools, devouring the funding to provide education, so we can't learn the words to describe militarization, privatization, victimization, dehumanization, with no explanations. Racism separates the haves from the have no more. And once it was by force, but now we are coerced from birth into a rationalization of normalization. This normalization of subjugation with inhumane legislation. All this red tape meant to cover our eyes. A pressure cooker's lid holds the lamentation inside, mixed with depreciation, polarization, extermination. When will we come to the realization that what we are experiencing is legalized confiscation, forced dislocation by government, military, and mega corporations? What's the difference between lords, vassals, fiefs, kings, castles, knights, those same thieves that gobble up that slice of life, burning crosses and hunting down black life? But something about today has them thinking twice, because in the broad day we brought the truth to light. And these generational exploitations have a final destination in sight. Each voice that we lift will be the parting gift of forced emigration, a legalized immigration, impossible relocation, border camps of concentration, and industrialized complex of incarceration. No longer, because we are stronger, and love, oh love, love will conquer over the domination of 1% of the entire population that criminalizes melanin in all its incarnations. And unity, la unidad, eso, that will become the denomination to dismantle this devastation. We will honor life for what it is worth and remove this evil curse. Meditate and visualize restoration, reparations, compensation, diversification, and healing integration, so that we can live up to our highest spiritual manifestation.
Hello, fellow Americans. This is your chance to vote. Vote. Have your voice counted. Have your voice be heard. Your voice is important. It matters. It matters how you feel and how you think and how you want to live your life in the future, how you want your family to live their lives. You have an opportunity to decide how our country moves forward. You have power, and I hope that you use it. Vote.
Hi, Akua Dixon here, cellist, composer, mother, and grandmother. I need your help. I need for each and every one of you to exercise your right to vote. This is my plea for peace.
This is Larry Blumenfeld. When I was in 6th grade in public school in the Canarsie section of Brooklyn, I liked to draw a lot. In the fall, my teacher assigned me the task of drawing a big, colorful rendition of Uncle Sam, not pointing at us like in the recruitment ads, but pointing down the hall. Because down the hall is where the adults would come, and underneath the basketball hoops, they'd be voting for president. This was a big deal to us. This was a big event. Years later, at college, I got to cast my own vote for president. I was not pleased with the results of that election. But I stayed in the game. I stayed in this important game of voting. In 2000, I sat on pins and needles, as did many of us, and I learned what hanging chads were. In 2008, I spent election even a jazz club with the late great bassist Charlie Hayden. And when that election was called, Charlie stopped his Liberation Music Orchestra in the middle of a tune, and they broke into Amazing Grace. I'll never forget it. You know, Charlie used to tell me in trying times, man, we gotta do something. And another of my mentors in this culture, in this community that we're celebrating tonight, the writer Nat Hentoff, used to tell me in trying times, you can't do nothing. They were both right. We've got to do something. We can't do nothing. what we've got to do is vote. Now, when I was a kid, the adults used to say, vote with your conscience. And as an adult, I realized that in order to vote with my conscience, I must first develop a conscience. Now, the sort of empathy and care and compassion and grace that you're witnessing through the music presented tonight, as each artist makes a very personal statement, but also acts as part of a community. That's the stuff of developing the sort of conscience you might take into the voting booth. I know that I will not be tantalized or infantilized by the next tweet. I will not be desensitized and mesmerized by whatever pops up in social media. If all that stuff makes you want to shout out a 4-letter word, well, go ahead. Try this one. Vote.
Hi, thank you for tuning into the Afro-Latin Jazz Alliance's Notes for Votes program. The song that Rajna and I have recorded for you is called Choria Chori. It was written by Yoxian Artse and was made into a song and popularized by Mikel Laboa. You might have heard it in Joan Baez's 1988 recording of Diamonds and Rust in the Bull Ring. She has 12 songs, of which 5 I think are in Spanish and only 1 is in Basque. And this is important because this poem was found by Mikel Laboa in a restaurant. It was printed in a towel. I think the poet was about 25 years old. His wife thought it was a beautiful poem, and she showed it to him, and he's said to have gone home that evening and made it into a song. The translation is something like this. He would not have flown away if I had cut his wings. But then he would no longer be the bird that I loved, and I was in love with the bird. The poem became an anthem of sorts for the Basque country as they resisted the Franco regime's attempt to take their voice. And it warns us against the dangers of too tight of a grasp. So please do join the tens of thousands of people who have been inspired by this one little poem printed on a towel. And please do consider using your voice. Please do consider voting.
My name is William Parker, bassist, composer, improviser. I'm urging every human being who can hear this message, who's an American citizen, to get out in November to vote. It is very important to exercise your right of freedom to bring upon change and human rights in the country known as the United States of America.
I'm piano composer Matthew Shipp, and voting is essential. That is the only thing we have. That is our tool. You must make your voice heard. You are important. Your vote counts as much as anybody. And that is the real truth. Don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. Everything is online in this election. Healthcare, women's rights, immigrant rights, our rights, voting rights. You must vote. It is just essential.
I'm going to try and be as clear as I can, and sometimes my words trip me up because I care so much and my passions are so engaged here. But why vote? Why vote? Well, actually, there's a really good reason to vote. There's a place called America and an idea called America. And the two don't often exist. The promise of equality for all, the promise of fair treatment, the promise of a democracy, not a theocracy, the promise of opportunity and advantage for every human being, regardless of their race, ethnicity, gender, age, or preference, is the idea of America. The realization has not been so great. It's not just these past 4 years, it's decades of interference in other countries and their sovereign rights, of manipulations for war and oil profiteering, of simply installing dictators in other nations because it served our purposes. We've been doing this for decades. And our responsibility as human beings, not as Americans, but as human beings, is to vote. And then, as Americans, our responsibility is to see that our leaders are held accountable to the idea of America, not the ugly realization of it. I'm a proud American and I'm proud of the idea, not so proud of the realization. 9/11, I took my kids, I picked them up at school when there was smoke blowing from across the Lower East Side, from the World Trade Towers burning, and I said to them as I hustled them into the car, covering their noses for fear that they would be breathing poisonous mixtures and body parts. And I said to them, I said, Zach and Adam, listen carefully. There are people in governance who would hurt us to protect the oil and profiteering. That's not the ideal America. I looked on in horror as the lives of Amadou Diallo and Anthony Bias and Ramarley Graham, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor were cut short, and realized that's not the ideal America. The racism and the ugliness that is spurned and used and manipulated is also not the ideal America. And so I urge you, I beg you, please vote. Please take whatever precautions you need. Be safe, wear a mask, mail your absentee ballot in, but please vote. Please vote. Go and see that the things that we realize are the ideal America begin to take hold of what is now the real America. We need to strive and struggle for that dream. Please vote. This is an amazing moment for me. I had the privilege of spending 3 years touring all over the world and recording with these next two master musicians. I credit Carla with giving me a lot of the vision for what it means to create. And so I'm privileged to introduce NEA Jazz Master Carla Bley and Master Bass Player Steve Swallow.
Someone told me you are not going to vote. Is that true? I don't want this to sound like a threat, but if you don't vote, I'll never speak to you again.
Hello everybody, my name is Beto Villalobos and I'm a musician and Mexican American. I've been living in this country for over 15 years now. I became a US citizen last 2 years, and this is going to be my first time voting, and I would like to invite you to do the same and go out and vote. We can change the future of this country. We can improve our conditions. We can just use our right, use our voice, use our power to keep on improving our world, our circle, through music, through arts, and through supporting officials that believe and support the arts in general. So I encourage you to go out and vote. It is a crucial time historically, and we have the power to improve this time. So go out, vote. It is that crucial, and let's change this. Let's make it happen. Sending love your ways, and big hug, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Terence Blanchard, jazz musician, film composer, and educator. Just wanted to take some time to talk to you about how important it is to be active. One of the things that I love about being a jazz musician is that it's a real indicator of what happens in a democracy, where everyone in the band has the equal right to contribute. The most important thing is they must contribute. And with that collective sourcing of ideas, we can come up with something much better than what I could think about on my own. So I think it's the perfect example for us to take into this election season. This is a very important time for us. Let's all be active. Let's all get out and vote. Let's all be a part of the process. It's very important. This is not about party. This is about ideology. This is about integrity. And we need to make sure that we're involved. For those who don't vote, I don't want to hear from you, if you don't like the outcome. So let's make sure that we all get in there and do our duty and vote. Thank you. God bless.
is Shana Redmond. I am a public-facing scholar, an author, and a professor. And on behalf of the Notes for Votes event, I'm happy to be speaking to you. I am not here to convince you to vote. I understand why many people do not. I am instead here to tell you why I am voting. I am not voting because I believe the vote is transformative. I do not believe it will bring about the world that I envision. I am not voting because I believe it my civic duty. I am not voting because I believe in either candidate who endeavors to take the White House. I am voting instead because I am part of a long genealogy. I am part of a legacy of movement people who used every tool at their disposal to chip away at the structures that sought to dispossess and terrorize them. I am part of a long line of people who believed that you take up whatever means necessary to achieve the result you seek, whether it be on a large scale or a small scale. Sometimes the small scale is the best you can hope for. I am voting too, mindful of those people who cannot do the same, whether it be due to political gerrymandering and fraud, or whether it be to disenfranchisement due to felony status, or other conditions that disproportionately impact my communities. I am thoughtful about those voices, those people, those communities held in jeopardy as I walk into my polling place, in hopes that that move will in some small part assist in bringing about the large-scale change that I seek and that I believe we desperately need. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Oscar Hernandez here, musician, pianist, arranger, composer, producer, band leader, and I'm coming to you today, especially in light of that tomorrow is voter registration day, to tell you that it's important that we all go out and vote and make ourselves be felt as an individual, translating to a community, translating to a society, translating to a country. There has never been a more important time with regard to making that issue be something that we need to really push forward and let people know that in this day and age that we can have a say in what happens and become a force as to what happens going forward with these elections. So again, these are some strange, dark times from my perspective. Being a musician, all my work has been canceled and it's been 5 months and it hasn't been easy. Thank God I'm okay and I haven't gotten affected personally, but the truth of the matter is that now more than ever, these are one of the most important times we've ever faced as a country. So I urge you to go out there and vote. I urge you to go out there and talk to people and urge them to vote so we could make it a record in terms of these times, the importance of voting and how our vote is felt and is counted. So whatever you do, make sure that you make yourself count. Go out and vote. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jen Shyu. I'm an artist, an American, and I'm urging you to vote this year, the election of our lives, November 3rd, 2020. The music I'm singing for you is my own music, my own lyrics. The influence, as you'll hear, though, is deeply from Taiwan, which is where Dad was born, and this is a Taiwanese moon lute, and also influenced by traditional music from East Timor, which is where my mom was born. And so they came to America as students, fell in love in New York, had me in Peoria, Illinois, and that is the American dream, the American story. So I want you to, as you listen, think about the life you envision and vote for the life you envision. And think about the power that you have that we've inherited from those who fought for the right to vote. So, see you November 3rd, and thank you.
October 11th, 1993, I'm 15. Dear diary, to 10:46 p.m. I've had a most interesting weekend. Friday, an 8th grader called me a chink as I was walking off the bus. After I sold him a candy bar, I was quite pissed off. I felt degraded and confused. Why is there racism? Why did he call me by my race? This world is so confusing. I took a good long look at myself and saw through my face and into my heart and soul. It was beautiful and nothing to be ashamed of. Anyway, enough of that. When I have power, I'm gonna set things straight. Ha la la la, but you climb atop the mountain where the sage stands waiting for you. She says, halfway is no way to live. You either live or die. Silently the sage turns round and leaves a book behind her. Something seems familiar in her gait, but you realize too late you never saw her face. The traces of her robes remind you of your own. Facing where she disappeared, your eyes fall on the book she left you. Its brittle cover you observe looks centuries old and yet untouched by any hand. You lay down your hand with eyes closed to see how dreams unfold before you. Still with your hand upon the cover. We all move as one great wave, heaving one eternal breath. You all things that bind you like memories that comfort you through feeling your worth in another, but your worth must come from within. You will move on to all things that free you, being who you truly are, without one compromise, not even for love. I have loved so deeply, I was lost in the beauty of his heart, so warm like rain in summer, a breezeless night, unmoving. My great desire fueling a dying fire softly, quietly, like rainbows fading in and out of time. Take back time, you never lost it. Live your life as you envision, not another day of waiting for snow on this desert island. Missing who you truly are today, now, not tomorrow. Once the sun has sunk into the sea.
It is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you Caridad De La Luz, La Bruja, Nuyorican spoken word world queen, and hip-hop boogie down Boricua.
Do you know why you should vote? Because so many people can't and wish that they could. And countless Americans that came before you sacrificed their lives so that you can exercise that power today. Don't waste it away piously, 'cause that's a wrap. Yeah. WAP. Y'all are messing with some wise-ass poets. WAP. Women aren't protected. Words as projectiles. We are persecuted. Wishing away pain. Watching angry people. Wanting all parts. Weathered against patriarchy. Wrangled as property. Wearing aprons professionally. Welcoming angels presently. Wittingly arming prowess. Wimpish assholes prod. WAP. That's a whack. That's a whack. Why ask presidents who act poisonously whether America punishes with abandonment purposefully, while amounting pesos with arrogant pride, walking around pedophiles who adore pussy? Whiskerless aren't pure. Wednesdays are penciled with addresses privately. Wi-Fi accesses pornography. Women arrive posturized. Weddings arranged prematurely. Whatever asses provide. That's a whack. WAP. Widow adolescents placate. Whispering alarms penetrate. Why, ask Poppet, will anyone persevere? Whites aren't prosecuted, well, that's a purpose. Went around, popping wide, arrayed of pills, whatever addiction pleases, we aren't prepared. Wrestling against poverty while acting puny. Washing areas profusely, winds agitate pollution. Why aren't people wide awake polemically? Where's afterlife pointing? Witches align powers, wishing altruistic peace. WAP adamantly villainized, wet and pink. Warriors attack politics. What you think? Always pushing, we ain't playing. Why? Ask permission. We are pissed. We are Amazons procreating. Wild and promiscuous. We're all psychos. We're all prostitutes. Well aware prudes. Watched and perceived. Well groomed and pretty. Writing acronym poetry. That's a WAP. That's a WAP. That's a WAP. That's a WAP. WAP. Yeah. That's a WAP, that's a WAP, that's a WAP, that's a WAP. What are you waiting for? I know I'm waiting for a woman as president too. But that's coming with your vote. Don't forget, we need you. La Bruja, over and out. Peace.
One day, I literally went to see this man speak, and I saw music and colors and shapes swirling all over his head. And I knew that I had to write something for this man. And the piece that resulted is called 4 Questions, otherwise known as the Cornel West Concerto. But that's the kind of effect that this man has on people who hear him speak. The great Dr. Cornel West.
This is Brother Cornel West. I hope you raise your voice in this unprecedented election in this country, a country in very deep trouble. A country that has a history of not just suppressing the vote of vulnerable folk, especially Black folk and other people of color, but a country that cannot survive without the voices of those folk who have been suppressed. It is no accident from slavery, to Jim Crow, to Jane Crow. It has been the vote that is targeted. It has been the vote that is suppressed. And we are at a moment now that if we do not lift our voices, which is the very anthem of Black people, not echo, no lifting of echoes, no extension of echo chambers, but lifting voices, mindful of the struggles of the past, mindful of the protracted attempt of people to be able to vote. So as a young brother or sister of whatever color, have a historical consciousness that connects you to the best of your past, that constitutes wind at your back, so that in lifting your vote, you shape your destiny, my destiny, our destiny together. We need you. We need your voice. We need your vision. We need your witness. And let us be very clear that there is no witness without courage. And somewhere I read, where there is no vision, we perish.
Hey, this is Vijay Iyer speaking to you from Harlem, New York. And I'm here to ask you, beg of you, plead with you, to vote as soon as you can, as safely as you can, as reliably as you can, and to make sure you help as many others as you can do the same. Democracy is at stake in this election. It's the most important one of our lives. I can't tell you who to vote for, but I can tell you that we need to fight white supremacy with all the strength we have. It's one of the biggest dangers facing our nation. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this, and don't forget to vote. And please spread the word.
Simone Dinnerstein is a wonderful pianist, and we happen to vote in the same district in Brooklyn. Tonight she's going to share some interesting connections between American musical history and American electoral history.
Scott Joplin was born in 1868, the same year that the 14th Amendment, which guarantees Americans equal protection of the laws, was ratified. It had taken a terrible war to get to that point, and during Joplin's lifetime there were powerful forces at work aiming to deny those protections. Even today, all too often we read about attempts to deny people one of the most fundamental rights, the right to vote. Anytime someone tries to make it harder to vote, we should not give in. We should resist. That's why it's so essential to insist on your vote by actually voting. Whoever you vote for, make sure that you add your voice to the national argument. Don't allow yourself to be silenced.
As a representative of both the New York City and New York State League of Women Voters, I am encouraging everyone to get out and vote on or before Election Day. As a millennial, I didn't have the best voting history when I was first registered to vote. I made excuses, everything from my schedule didn't allow to me just being cynical and skeptical about the voting process. And I really just had to educate myself about the ways in which I was harming the election process by my choices. One of the things that I love about the work that I do with the League is that as a nonpartisan organization, we focus on issue-based advocacy based off of what we hear from the community. And we come together, we talk about issues, and we use that as a driving force to get people to come out and cast their ballots. And the thing that I have learned over time through my inconsistent voting patterns was that both the issues of skepticism and cynicism, one was simply an excuse, and the other was a form of voter suppression, both of which I was not comfortable with being on record as someone who would like to vote consistently and would like to be an informed voter. So as we lead up to November 3rd, I am encouraging every eligible voter to show up and cast their ballot on or before Election Day. Your voice matters. As Vice President of the League of Women Voters of New York City and as Director of Youth and Civics Education for the New York State League of Women Voters, I want everyone to know that this election cycle, we want folks to have a voting plan. And the voting plan consists of 3 specific elements. If you're going to vote by mail, make sure that you apply to have the absentee ballot sent to your home address. Or 2, you take advantage of early voting in your state and find out where your polling site is located and the hours of operation. Or 3, you can vote in person on Election Day. Whichever mechanism you choose to have your voice be heard and legitimize our democracy, find the method and the plan that works best for you. As an organization, we have a national database where folks can check in across the states at vote411.org, and you can look up your specific poll site, early voting locations, and site hours for Election Day, as well as get information on how to properly and accurately complete your absentee ballot. We want folks to be comfortable in the voting process, but also cast a legitimate vote. And so one of the things that we're encouraging people to do is have a plan of action on how you will vote in whatever sense that feels comfortable for you. So if it's voting by mail, request the absentee ballot. If you're going to use early voting, in New York City, we have 9 early voting days. Take advantage of those 9 days. The poll site may or may not be distinct from your general Election Day poll center. Find out where you would vote early and go to that location and cast your ballot, or vote on Election Day, November 3rd, at your general poll site. And just be sure that you know where that is, their hours of operation, and be sure that you know who it is that you would like to cast on the ballot for your vote. We never encourage folks to vote for one candidate or the other, but the one thing that we do actually provide is sample ballots. So if you go to vote411.org, you can see both the issues, the candidacy, the candidates on the ballot, and everything that you would need in order to prepare yourself for either early voting or voting on Election Day. Either which, choose a route that feels authentic to you and cast your vote by either of those three means.
Hey guys, Luis Perdomo here.
And Mimi Jones. Many people have already started voting.
And remember, a lot of people have fought for this right to vote.
So exercise your right to vote.
Let your voice be heard, and please get out there on November 3rd and cast your vote.
Get in touch with the Board of Elections from your town to find out when early voting starts for you. Thank you.
Thanks.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tiffany Austin, and I'm a Bay Area vocalist, lyricist, and songwriter. And I just wanted to encourage you to get out there and vote. It is so important. We have a lot of things going on. And we also have a duty to the people who fought and marched and bled and sacrificed so that we could be here and be all able to participate in this democratic process and asking and pushing America towards fulfilling its promise of liberty and justice for all. And we don't get that unless we all participate. Okay, so get out your ballots, get out your pen, and get to work. All right? Thank you. 1, 2, 3. Whatever happened to those golden dreams you promised we'd all taste one day? Did they all die like unwatered amber waves of grain? You said you'd love me if I just wait my turn. Instead you watched as greenwood burned. I guess the price of true freedom is something I can't ever earn. From Mississippi, Watts, and Oakland to Ferguson, we all had to weep and cry the blues. All those whose lives are done, from legislation, noose or gun, we hold a silent space for you. Whatever happened to that freedom song you sang when you sailed for our shores? Don't give 3/5 of your love and honor what you vowed before. And Oakland to Ferguson, we all had to weep and cry the blues. All those whose lives are done, from legislation, news or gun, we hold aside whatever happened to that freedom song you sang when you sailed for our shores? Don't give 3/5 of your love and honor what you vowed before. Yeah, don't give 3/5 of your love and honor what you vowed before.
I am Tracy Hyter-Suffern. Like everyone watching, I have a whole bunch of stories about America and what it's like to be American. I want to share one in particular with you. It was a very long time ago when I was stopped on the street by a stranger. A young woman asked me, she stopped me and asked me, "Are you American?" What a strange question. This young woman was living in this country because she couldn't live in her own. Her own country had been ravaged by war. And she stopped. She stopped me on the street to ask me, "Are you American?" My visceral response to her was, "No, of course not. I'm Black." I think my answer to that question stunned me more than the person who asked. Like I said, no one had ever asked me before. And I don't know that I'd ever done any deep thinking about my own Americanness or what it meant to belong in this country. I should say I was really young myself. I tell this story, and I'm speaking to everyone. In particular, though, I want to speak to my Black, my Native, and my Brown family. I want you to know that I know how you feel. I know the feeling of disenfranchisement. I know the feeling of being uncounted and being unnecessary and feeling irrelevant. I want to look at you and I want to say to you, don't you believe that? Don't you buy into that? I paraphrase warrior, truth teller, abolitionist, Sojourner Truth. When I ask, ain't I American? And when I ask, ain't you American? I want to say to you, we are American. From the shoulders that we stand on of those who came before us, and in the hope and in the caregiving for the generations that will come after us. We are America. Our America is entangled with all of that. You already know all the facts. We've been listening to them for years, for 4 years, for the last year, for the past several months. I want to speak to your soul. I want to speak to your heart. And I'm asking you, I'm imploring you to vote. Vote early, vote righteously, vote on election day, vote with your family, vote with your friends, vote with your grandma, vote with the neighbors, bring a chair, bring a picnic because you don't know how long the lines will be, but vote, please. It's your turn, family. We stand on shoulders of people who sacrifice so much. Stand up, stand out, and vote.
We want to thank Ryan Patternate, Johnny Valente. We want to thank Birdland for allowing us to use this sacred institution as a platform to exhort you to vote, and for giving musicians a place, a home, for over 65 years. Thank you, Birdland. Thank you for being a part of our lives, the jazz corner of the world. For our closing number, we're going to go to the People's Republic of Brooklyn, where you will see every kind of human being living in harmony, black, brown, Latino, Hasidic, gay, straight, old, young, fat, skinny, every kind of person you would want to meet will be in Brooklyn showing us how to live. And this is the Brooklyn Guaguancó group, the Rumba group, Kikiri PK.
All right. I'm Zach O'Farrell. I'm here with my brothers, Kaz George and Victor Pablo.
What's up?
Whom, some of my best friends and favorite people. With we all lead the Kikiri BK together. And yeah, we're just here to talk about how important it is to vote. You guys gonna vote?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm voting here in Brooklyn.
That's right.
Voting right here.
Yeah. Cool. It's
Are any of y'all doing like the mail-in ballot? Or
No, I'm voting in person.
Yeah, me too.
I'm voting in person because my polling place is the school right down the street. So.
Exactly, mine too. Actually, yeah, like up the street.
Yeah, I love going over there to vote, man. You see people, you see all sorts of people from the neighborhood, man. It's all about voting. Is all about community.
Totally, should be.
But it should be. It should be. There's a lot of people trying to make it harder to vote this year, but got to put the beer and get out there, even if it's cold.
Yeah, I think it's our one of the. There's many ways that we have opportunities to like really influence the system as individuals and as communities. But this is kind of one of the most obvious, straightforward ones, right? You can really put forward your literal vote for who gets to make the decisions that affect everybody's lives. So super important. Obviously, it's not the only thing you should do. You can be active in your community, at your church, whatever community centers you have. You can protest the government and power. You can write your Congress people, right? All those things are super important things. But voting is just like kind of the basic one to me. Well, if you care about how all these things are decided, you got to vote.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one for, romanticizing the mythology of the United States, but that get the fact that people, some of the people who were citizens of the country could vote for their leaders is kind of was kind of the defining characteristic of what made this country its country at the beginning. Admittedly, we know most people couldn't vote. We know that there wide swaths of the population were denied the right to vote until this past century. But that's kind of what made this country this country. That's kind of what, when people talk about the American experiment, it's precisely that. It's like letting people actually vote for their representatives.
Totally.
Right. And I feel also like sometimes we can feel discouraged that they'll pick whoever they pick or whatever it is like that. But like Cass said, this is a very straightforward way to voice what you want to say in the matter. Get acquainted with who your options are, and vote for people who think the same way that you do, that care for the same things that you care, and figure out how they think and what they have done for the things that you care, and then vote accordingly and let your voice be heard.
Right. Totally.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they're representative democracy, right? It's people represent you. People represent your interests, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's important to remember that even though, as you guys both touched on, this is not always a perfect system. And even though those people are supposed to represent you, they don't always. Sometimes you have representatives who don't really represent you, or you have representatives who are supposed to represent you that don't do the things that they really should be doing. And that all happens. And, but with voting, I feel like it's one of those things where, like, if you have all of the votes on a certain issue, those people in power lose some of their power. They lose the ability to do those things that we're talking about. If everybody just votes a certain way, they have to work within those confines. You know what I mean? So that's our power as the voters, is that we can limit what people are able to do and push the politicians in certain directions. It doesn't mean that the politicians are all great. That's not necessarily what we're saying here, but we're saying we need to push them, and that voting is one of the ways. So it's important, really important.
That's right. Every election is our opportunity to try and nudge the system in the right direction.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. Go vote.
Go vote.
Go vote. Guys. Vote.
Como tú sabes que yo soy tu ley, tratas de huirme y yo no sé por qué. Como tú sabes que yo soy tu ley, tratas de huirme y yo no sé por qué. No me huyas, si tú sabes que yo no he sido nunca un verdugo para ti, que yo no he sido nunca un verdugo para ti. Pero ya que te fuiste, y veo que quieres volver, cuéntame lo que has encontrado en tu largo caminar. Cuéntame cómo te ha ido, si has conocido la felicidad. Cuéntame cómo te ha ido, si has conocido la felicidad. Vamos a ver, amigo mío. Las mujeres son variables y cambian de parecer. Yo te llegan a querer y mañana te aborrecen. Ya yo las voy comprendiendo un poco, porque víctima yo fui de una mujer que creí buena como lo fue mi madre, que nunca engañó a mi padre como tú me engañas a mí. Pero ya que te fuiste, y veo que quieres volver. Cuéntame lo que has encontrado en tu largo caminar. Cuéntame cómo te ha ido, si has conocido la felicidad. Cuéntame cómo te ha ido, si has conocido la felicidad. No puedo ser feliz, dime niña dónde está, dime niña
So basically, it's of utmost importance that you exercise your right, do it safely, wear a mask, protect others, do the right thing, go out and vote, please.
Please go out and vote. This is a message for everyone. In particular, though, I'm speaking to my Black, Native, and Brown family. Bring your mom, bring your grandfather, bring a picnic basket, get out, go and vote. You are America, and this is your responsibility. I'll see you online.
I think we've said all we need to say. We've settled it. He's going to do it. She's going to do it. I'm going to do it. You're going to do it. What are we going to do?
Vote.